Hello and welcome to the Rank and Report football show from Washington, D.C. to London, England. I am your host, Adam Booker, and I'm joined, as I always am, by Mr. Charlie Gordon. How you doing, Charlie?
Really good, my friend. Very good indeed. A little bit later in the evening than usual because we had an absolute shocker earlier on. I don't know. What happened, Adam? Tell the people what happened.
Within about 30 seconds of our attempt at recording about 4 hours ago, the fire alarm went off in my building here. Unfortunately, this is my fault because this was a scheduled test that had slipped my mind. We were notified that this was going to happen, but I totally forgot about it, and within 30 seconds of us starting to record this, an absolute mind-numbing sound came through the building. But here we are, back for attempt number 2.
Things happen, mate. Things happen. But at least, we didn't get into the meaty stuff, so all the good stuff is still to be said for the first time, which is a blessing for everyone involved. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm excited for this one. We are doing the mid-season team of the year for all of European football. So we're just over the halfway point of the domestic season for all of Europe's top leagues. So we're going to get into who's made our best 11 of the year so far. But before we do that, I just want to mention that we are doing a Away Days mystery kit giveaway right now. This is the second one we've done, and the first one I'd have to say was really successful. We got Asamoah Gyan in our mentions afterwards because our lucky winner got an Asamoah Gyan Ghana kit. Actually, it's worth mentioning we ratioed Asamoah Gyan with our tweet, but yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't seen our brand new European power rankings video yet, you can hit the card in the top right corner of your video right now. That will take you to our new rankings video where you can find all of the information for the kit giveaway, how to get involved, and how to get into the running for the kit giveaway. But if you're not interested in that, which you should be, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below right now and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. Charlie, should we get into this team of the year?
I think we should. I think we should try our best to leave Asamoah Gyan to one side and get into our team of the year. And I'll kick things off, if that's okay. If you pardon the pun. We'll get straight in there.
Real quick, Charlie, let's just kind of reel through the structure, I guess, of how we're doing this and how we went about finding these players.
Okay, yeah, but pretty simple, really. I think we've gone for bog standard 4-4-2. I picked the left side of the team. Adam picked the right side of the team. But we're bringing you together in perfect harmony. This is our, combined team of the year so far. Yeah, that's it, really. Have I missed anything out?
That is it. Let's get into it.
Okay, and to kick things off, I think there's going to be no quarrels, really, with the fact that we've got Jan Oblak in goal. So the 28-year-old is largely considered to be one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. I know Lionel Messi rates him extremely highly if his interviews are anything to go by. And it seemed like a natural choice, really. He's an outstanding keeper. He's a mountain of a man. His team, Atletico Madrid, are soaring away in La Liga, and they have by far the best defensive record in Europe's top 5 leagues. 11 clean sheets in 20 La Liga matches this season. And I actually saw this stat as well. 111 clean sheets in his first 200 games for Atletico Madrid, which is a similarly crazy stat. Basically, when you look at every metric, the guy is just a man mountain in goal and just, a wall. So difficult to get past. Adam, what do you make of him?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those incredible keepers that just on the eye test when you watch him, he doesn't make insanely flashy saves, but that's not because he doesn't have them, in his arsenal. It's because he's just so good positionally that he's just never caught out, and he never needs to be, like jumping to tip stuff over the bar and stuff. He's just so good positionally that it's almost boring to watch him because he's that good.
Yeah, and that's all you need from a keeper. Your Rene Higuitas of this world are very interesting to watch on blast from the past highlight reels. But when you go in for glory, you need a ruthlessly efficient keeper like that. And I think it's worth noting with Oblak as well, he made a big step up to join Atletico Madrid. He was playing for Benfica's reserve side back in 2014 when De Gea made the switch from Atletico from Atletico to Man United. God, I don't know what happened there. So basically, Oblak made a huge step up, and he's kind of grown in stature over time into this really formidable keeper now. And he started from a relative unknown, and he's really earned his respect in the European game right now. 28 years of age, very much established, and still a lot of years left at the top for him, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Jan Oblak is in goal for our mid-season team of the year. Let's move on to the back four, Charlie. In at right back is Manchester City's João Cancelo. Now, this is a bit of a funny one because Cancelo almost doesn't play right back at City. The way that Pep plays him is almost in a central role. He likes his fullbacks to tuck in and be in possession. But yeah, I mean, Cancelo statistically, and the eye test has had an incredible season this year under Pep Guardiola. And it's worth mentioning that he wasn't very good in his first year. To be honest, he didn't get enough chances. But if any of our listeners follow me on Twitter, they will know that I scream from the rooftops that you have to give players multiple seasons under Pep. New signings don't come in and hit the ground running right away. It's a tough system to learn. But yeah, Cancelo has benefited from this second season, astronomically. I'm going to drop some stats right now. If you guys like the word percentile, you're going to love this video because I'm about to say the word percentile about 10,000 times. So for João Cancelo, this is over the last 300 days, and this is comparing him to all of the defenders in Europe's top 5 leagues. So Cancelo is in the top 99th percentile for progressive carries. So that is any sort of, carry with the ball that will end up in the opponent's, defensive half or City's attacking half. He's in the top 98th percentile for successful dribbles, top 95th percentile for shot creating actions. And look, I mean, you can drop all the statistics you want, but when you just watch him play this season, at time he's been City's most progressive player in terms of creativity. And not only that, he's proven himself to be a pretty good one-on-one defender as well.
Yeah, he's really, really grown into his role at City, and you're dead right, really. We paid a lot of money for him, somewhere around £60 million. And for the first season, it almost seemed like City didn't need him at all because Kyle Walker's always been a very good performer. But yeah, his attacking stats are just absolutely mental. I saw a graph the other day, and I think on both axes you had something like passes into the penalty area per game and like progressive dribbles per game or something like that. So basically 2 metrics which show how attacking the fullback is. And this guy Cancelo was up there in the top corner with the likes of Messi, Neymar, Adama Traore, Alan Saint-Maximin and players like that. That he was in a very exclusive group. He was in the top 99th percentile even among that kind of company. So yeah, it turns out he's found his role as just an extremely attacking fullback. Not one that even bombs up and down the wings, just one that feels comfortable chilling out in the middle of the park, just because that's how Pep fancies it. And, he's really caught the eye of almost everyone this year, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's shades of Dani Alves about him, which is really exciting because there's not many fullbacks that have come and gone like Dani Alves. So yeah, super exciting player to watch. Shall we move on to left back, Charlie?
Absolutely. And at left back, again, I feel like the natural choice here was Theo Hernandez of AC Milan. So the guy's played 28 games this season. AC Milan, they're top of SerieA at present, even though they are being hunted down by, a pack of wolves at present. 28 games, 4 goals, 6 assists is really good output for a left back. His average match rating is 7.39, which is one of the highest in this entire 11. And he's actually scored a lot of crucial goals this year as well. He scored a winner in the dramatic 3-2 victory over Lazio a few weeks ago. And he also scored the last minute stoppage time equaliser in a 2-2 draw versus Parma just a few weeks earlier. So yeah, Theo Hernandez, still a young player, only 23 years of age, but there's plenty to get excited about, really. His speed, I suppose, is one of the most notable. And he's just very direct, isn't he, Adam? He loves to get forward and just bomb forward at every opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Cancelo, he's a guy that maybe flourishes the most when he's in possession of the ball instead of as a natural defender. But yeah, I mean, on the eye test, he's one of Milan's best players on the pitch every game. And you got to think that Florentino Perez, the Real Madrid president, has seen this as a chance gone to have a player like this on his team. I mean, obviously Ferland Mendy and Marcelo are still there, but this guy's incredible. It's worth mentioning, Charlie, I don't know if you know this, he still has not gotten a France call up just because they're so deep in defense. But yeah, I mean, 4 goals and 4 assists in the league this year is an incredible output for a fullback, really. And yeah, he's so fun to watch, so good in possession, and yeah, absolutely brilliant player.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the first France player to not get a call up. The first France player that's in things like the mid-season team of the year around the world and still not getting a call up. Someone like Aymeric Laporte springs to mind, who somehow still hasn't got a call up, I don't think. So yeah, he wouldn't be the first. Still a young player, plenty more to come. I'm sure plenty more France caps to come in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Teo Hernandez is in at left back. And in at right center back, I've gone with another Manchester City defender, Ruben Diaz. Look, Ruben Diaz came to City for a huge fee, £62 million. Kind of tagged as the Vincent Kompany replacement, which is always going to be big shoes to fill. But look, since he's come in, City have conceded only 14 goals in the Premier League. That's second closest to that is Tottenham with 22. It's worth mentioning that Diaz came in 2 days after City conceded 5 goals at home to Leicester in the league, and since then have only conceded 9 goals. So in that period, City have conceded, since that 5-2 loss, nobody in Europe has conceded less goals than City, which is unbelievable to think about when you think about the fact that last season and really all of the seasons under Pep Guardiola, it's been City's defense, it's been their Achilles heel, but most notably last season when it was an absolute shit show back there. But yeah, I mean, since he's come in, they've only conceded 9 goals in the league, which is just an incredible stat. And when you watch this guy play, he's not the kind of guy that has to make last-ditch tackles. His positional play is so good that he just kind of strolls around the pitch and just cleans things up left and right. And he's the leader that City needed, and the stats speak for themselves. So I think Ruben Diaz has got to be straight into our back four for the mid-season team of the year.
Yeah, no arguments whatsoever there. I think when you talk about a player that's had a massive impact at a club, here's one that should be springing straight to mind. And really, with a centre-back, it shouldn't be as noticeable when they have a strong impact at the club. Because, like you said, he's just efficient. He doesn't do much in the games which really grabs your attention and catches your eye. So the only real reason you notice it is because since he's come in, City have been absolutely incredible at the back. And the thing is, yes, he doesn't catch the attention too much during games, but when he is called upon, almost every single time he will do what is required. If he needs to put that sliding tackle in as a last-ditch attempt, he will put it in, and he's almost always successful in doing so. So, yeah, he seems like the all-round guy at the moment. He's still young as well. I think he's maybe 23, maybe even 22 years old. So plenty more to come from him. City have got themselves a real gem, and there's not really been any wobble to suggest that he will tone it down from here on out either.
Yeah. I mean, it's really insane. You mentioned his age. I think he's 23. And when you look at, I did a little comparison on FBref of his stats per 90 compared to Van Dijk, last season's Liverpool team, and they're pretty much identical as far as aerial duels won, tackles won, even things like pass completion. And when we're comparing a 23-year-old defender to a prime Virgil van Dijk, that's a pretty incredible comparison to make. So yeah, Ruben Diaz has got to be in that back four.
Yeah, and definitely. And when we move on to his centre-back partner, this is a guy who is also very young, 22-year-old fella who is making me feel thoroughly inadequate for being a 23-year-old myself. We've got people my age and younger in this team of the year around the globe. But that is Dayot Upamecano, who is in the headlines right now because apparently he's just sealed his move to Bayern Munich, which is kind of not really a surprise, really. They tend to just mop up all the best talent in Germany. Can you hear those fireworks outside? Fuck off.
What a day we're having.
I know. So mop up all the best talent in Germany. Sorry, you're going to have to do a few cuts here, aren't you?
That's all right.
Mop up all the best talent in Germany. And essentially, Upamecano is the best defender in the best defence in the Bundesliga. Because RB Leipzig, they've only conceded 17 goals in 20 games. That's the best defence in the league. And, he is, contrary to the people that we've already spoken about, he's one that really does catch the eye. He's a fantastic athlete, really big, strong guy, tall, fast, extremely athletic. He's fantastic on the ball. He loves to bring the ball out from the back and carry it forward, and also pass it straight into midfield rather than sideways. So, yeah, he's all you'd want from a modern centre-back, I think, really, Adam. One that the centre-back is evolving into a position where they can start catching your eye, when that never used to really be the case, and I think he's probably one of the prime examples.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny to look at how so far, I mean, at the end of this, 3 of our 4 defenders will be in here, big partly because of they are so good with the ball at their feet. And, Upamecano is one of those guys, especially in a Julian Nagelsmann team. Every player on the pitch has to be technically sound. And like you said, he's an incredible defender, incredible athlete, but he can also carry the ball out of the back and, spray it around to any of those midfielders or forwards. So unbelievable player. And I think it speaks to the generation of talent we have in world football right now that 3 of our back 4 are not even in their prime yet.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. Crazy that they're all so young, but deservedly in there, I think. He can only go up from here, especially now he's going to Bayern. I think, there's certainly going to be more trophies in the cabinet, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to our midfield 4. And this is where I think I'm going to name our club Shoehorn FC. Because we have done our best to fit in the players that we thought deserved to be in this 11. But, I was texting Charlie when we were, working on this video ahead of time, doing our research and stuff. And I was saying to him, I'm struggling to get modern players into a 4-4-2 because there's just so many positions outside of 4-4-2s that these players play in. And I'll go with my right midfielder, and that's Achraf Hakimi. This is a player that we mostly think of as a right wing back or a right back. But, in this system under Antonio Conte at Inter Milan, he plays so far forward out on that right flank that he's essentially a right winger. And he's got 6 goals and 5 assists. And that's third in goal scoring, only behind the 2 strikers, Lautaro Martinez and Romelu Lukaku. This is a guy that from out wide, technically as a defender, the creativity of this team kind of runs through him. When he's bombing down that flank, he can, play passes aerially into the box. He can, send in low fizzing crosses. And when you got guys like Lautaro Martinez and, Romelu Lukaku in there getting on the end of those crosses, then it's going to end up in the back of the net if it's a good cross. And with Hakimi, it's always a good cross. And when this guy's bombing down the wing and getting to the byline, he's, virtually unplayable, Charlie.
Yes, and I will start my little spiel off here by saying that Hakimi is actually a right midfielder on FIFA. So if that's proof enough that we...
Is he?
Yeah, so Shoehorn FC is perhaps a little bit harsh. So I think, technically, I think we're definitely allowed to put Hakimi in at right mid. And I will follow that up by saying Hakimi is one of the most exciting players in world football. Just searing pace up and down that touchline is just such a deadly weapon, especially when it's coming from right back, because the defense they're not really prepared for that kind of thing. They're more focused on the attackers or the attacking midfielders. So that's why he is such a deadly weapon. And I'm amazed that Madrid let him go, to be honest. I'm sure there were some other kind of reasons behind the scenes, but I don't think they were getting value for money. Hakimi had been a really strong performer at Dortmund for a year or maybe 2 years. A really strong performer to where he was already catching the eye as one of the best fullbacks in the world. And he went to Inter relatively on the cheap. I think it was in the 40 or the 50 million euro range.
Yeah, I think it was like exactly 40 million euros.
Yeah, which is cheap, which is really cheap for a young fullback from Madrid who was just performing so well. And he's actually only just kicked on from there, really. And I think, with a player that relies on pace so much, this may be his heyday, his early 20s, while the pace is still in his legs. But he's making the most of it, and he's causing lots of problems and scoring lots of goals and setting a lot up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier Florentino Perez and how, I don't know, maybe upset he'd have to be at Teo Hernandez, being gone and blossoming into such a world-class player. But think about right now the fullbacks that Madrid could have on their books with Hakimi on one side and Teo Hernandez on the other would be a deadly combination going forward. Now, defending one-on-one may be something, a whole other conversation, but still, yeah, I mean, Hakimi, so much fun to watch. If you don't get to watch Italian football and you sit down to watch one team, it may be Inter Milan just to be able to watch Hakimi play. But let's move on to our left mid, Charlie.
Yes, absolutely. We go to the opposite flank, to a man from South Korea who is called Heung-min Son. He plays for Tottenham, who are struggling in the league now this season. They're down in 8th place. But it's through no fault of his own, really. Him and Harry Kane have been carrying the side throughout this season, really. They've formed an incredible partnership, which has led him to 20 goals in 36 appearances in all competitions this season. And he's got 7 assists on top of that as well. He's really moving into the prime of his career now, Heung-min Son. So this is the time for him to get in a World 11, really. And I think he is that calibre of player. 28 years of age. And yeah, aside from the Harry Kane partnership, I think really Son just brings a complete mix of assets to a team going forward. Just a deadly mix of assets. He's rapid on the counter-attack. He's got good feet as well. And he's just such a good shooter of the football. It doesn't matter whether he's one-on-one, whether he's from distance. He can hit it with his right or his left. It seems like a really abstract concept, shooting, because you mostly categorise it into finishing or long-range pile drivers or something like that. But this guy can just shoot. Like, it doesn't matter. That whole umbrella category, Heung-min Son can shoot the football with either foot. And I think that's what sets him apart from a lot of players, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable to watch. You think back to that goal that he scored against Burnley last season where he literally ran the length of the pitch and skinned about 10 Burnley players on the way. But yeah, like you said, he's unbelievable with the ball at his feet. And if there is an inch of space for him to get the ball out of his feet and shoot, and that curler that he can put in from really any flank is unbelievable. And like you said, that partnership with Harry Kane this season, that's really what's gotten him into this team of the year because, you think back to, I think they won away at Southampton 6-1 or something like that, maybe 5-1. And literally every goal was either a Harry Kane goal assisted by Son or a Son goal assisted by Harry Kane. Yeah, he's been unbelievable. And as a City fan, he has haunted my nightmares for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fantasy football world was absolutely blowing up when Kane and Son just kept setting them up for each other. But so yeah, everyone knows about Son's talents. I think it's just worth considering whether he's getting the best out of his career at Spurs, because they could be languishing around mid-table now. And if he's the calibre of player which is getting into a World 11 midway through the season, I don't think they'd let him go easily, but there could perhaps be bigger and better things on the horizon for Son if opportunities presented themselves. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, definitely not.
What do you think? What do you think the kind of fee would be for him if he were to go this summer to maybe a bigger club in the Premier League or somewhere in Europe?
I couldn't see them letting him go to a rival in the Premier League, but
yeah.
Even as a 28-year-old, I think he'd probably command like 60 to 80, maybe even more than that, just because you know what you're getting with Son. He's a guy with so many different weapons that he can use to hurt teams.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Heung-min Son is in at left midfield, and we will move on to our central midfield. And I've got a guy that I am honestly obsessed with. I think he is arguably the best deep-lying playmaker in world football, and that is Joshua Kimmich of Bayern Munich. This season he's tied for first in the Bundesliga with 10 assists. That's pretty incredible when you think that, he's not a guy that moves that far up the pitch. He kind of sits back, and it's hard to compare him to Sergio Busquets because they're two wildly different players, but he kind of plays in the same region of the field as Sergio Busquets. He doesn't move up too far. He just the ball circulates through him, and when he can pick a pass going forward, he will, and he will find any sort of space to play a pass. He's first in the Bundesliga in dead ball passes that lead to goals. I'm going to start dropping the word percentile again, but versus all the midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues, he's in the top 98th percentile for shot creating actions, non-penalty expected goals and assists, and progressive passes. That's unreal when you think about the guys in that midfield category that he's up there with. We're talking the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, guys like that are just unreal. He's in the top 99th percentile for assists and expected assists. So, from a guy that is kind of deep lying on the pitch, he's Bayern's most creative player, and that's an unbelievable thing to say.
Yeah, he's had a top football upbringing, really, Kimmich. He was there at the start of his career while Guardiola was still at Bayern. That is not going to hurt a young player coming up in their career at all. And he's only kicked on from there, really. I think he used to play right back, and now he's moved into centre midfield where he's kind of found a home, really. And you've watched a lot more of him this season than I have, Adam, but it is a mystery to me then. On the face of things, he plays such a deep role. How is he racking up all these assists? I imagine it may be because Bayern's wingers are just so rapid. It's quite easy to just set them off. Is that basically what's happening?
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that, all around German football is teams playing really high lines, including Bayern themselves. I think if you threw Kimmich into SerieA, where teams sit a bit deeper and, there's a lot more back threes and back fives, whereas in German football, we tend to see more back fours and higher lines. I think it's made for a guy like Kimmich that can just look up. He can see, Lewandowski or Serge Gnabry, Kingsley Coman, Leroy Sané. The list goes on of these guys that can make runs in behind. And if they make a run in behind, then he will find them with a pass. And I think it's just a match made in heaven for him.
Absolutely. And if we move on to his centre midfield partner, that was quite an easy decision for me, really, which was Bruno Fernandes, who has, by all accounts, had the best year. The year of 2020 was really his year in the Premier League. During those 12 months, I'm pretty sure he won the Premier League Player of the Month 4 times, which is a really incredible stat, really, especially for someone's first season. But he had such a dramatic impact when he came into United. And his output has just been outstanding from a centre attacking mid position. So far this season, 40 appearances, which is a lot. He's scored 18 goals and he's got 11 assists. So, 29 goal involvements in 40 games is pretty crazy. He does kind of pad his stats out a little bit with a lot of penalties that United seem to get. But it doesn't detract from how influential he is in games. He's another one that doesn't... Sometimes he doesn't catch the eye too much. He does have that bit of flair in him, but a lot of the times he kind of sacrifices that for more efficiency. Sometimes he can just go missing in games, actually, and then he'll just pop up, at the crucial moment and score the crucial goal or set off the crucial pass. So, really and truly, it's been a great year, great past 12 months and a great season so far for Bruno Fernandes. But Adam, what do you make of his impact and his season so far?
I mean, right away you have to look at the fact that he comes into a United team, that was really struggling, weren't qualifying for top 4, and right away they're back in top 4 contention. They finished in 4th last season, and this season they're, I think they're still sitting in 2nd at the moment and clear of 3rd and 4th. So yeah, I mean that just speaks to how big of an impact he's made, and everything runs through him. And the fact that they're now putting more talent around him, like Edinson Cavani and Marcus Rashford is continuing to develop, it's kind of a match made in heaven for him, because if you start to put this, talented guys around him, a guy that is so creative like him and can pick a pass and, he can shoot from outside the box as well, he's just going to flourish. And like you said, his stats are really incredible. In the Premier League this season, in 23 appearances, he has 13 goals and 10 assists. He's got a goal contribution a game. So, everything runs through him, and he really is the real reason why United are sitting up in 2nd right now.
Yeah, he's the real deal. Sometimes you do wonder when players make the switch from the Portuguese league, whether they're going to be able to do it in a top league. He actually had spells in SerieA before his time in Portugal with Sampdoria, where he didn't make the same impact, albeit he was a much younger player. But since he's come in, this is really the stat that does hammer everything home. Since his debut, he has got more combined goals and assists than anyone in the Premier League since his debut. That includes just everyone. Kevin De Bruyne, Jamie Vardy, Aubameyang, just name any star in the Premier League, and Bruno Fernandes has outdone them all in terms of real solid output that you can put on, pen and paper. So that tells the whole story, really. Could be the best year of his career. That remains to be seen, but definitely deserves to be in this 11.
Absolutely. All right, moving up to the fun stuff, to our 2 center forwards. And I have gone for maybe a surprise. There's some top class center forwards out there, and we're going to mention about 5 of them that could have been in this team of the year so far. But I've gone with Luis Suarez. I think part of this is a bit sentimental because I like the story of, him being kind of deemed surplus to requirements at Barcelona. They let him go to, a title rival in Atletico Madrid, and he's sitting atop of the charts right now in La Liga for scoring. He's got 16 goals in 17 matches. I think a lot of his success is down to Diego Simeone's willingness to change his usual style to accommodate him. Typically you think of an Atletico Madrid striker as being a bit isolated and having to be able to deal with being isolated and being the only guy up there and, launching the ball up to him when they get the chance. But, Simeone was willing to change, and he puts guys up there to play little 1-2s with him, like Joao Felix and Marcus Llorente and Angel Correa playing off of Suarez, and he's really flourished, like I said, leading scorer in La Liga. And an interesting stat, Charlie, that I found was, here we go with percentiles again, but he's only in the 65th percentile for penalty box touches for all of the center forwards in Europe's Big 5 leagues. And what that tells me is the fact that he's sitting top of the scoring charts, but, he's not really up there for penalty box touches, just shows how efficient he is when the ball gets to his feet in the penalty box.
Yeah, he's not a goal hanger. He's never been a goal hanger. He's a much classier player than that. He's always been a really, really classy operator. One of the best players to ever grace the Premier League. And it's really good to see him flourishing in his later career when people expected him to be winding down, really, at Atletico Madrid. Not fully winding down, but they didn't expect him to be really in that top bracket of strikers around the world. Look at him here now, making the ranking report, season 11. This is the height of his career, but yeah, it's great. It's great to see him. It's great to see him back in this kind of 11, really. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about Luis Suarez.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that he will drag Atleti to a title this year because no one's going to catch them. So I think he's rightly got to be in that team of the year.
Yeah, it's a great story, and he's putting in great performances. And I finally remember what I was going to say about him, so let me backtrack quickly. And that is, as a guy with an attitude, what can rightly be perceived as an attitude problem. When you're biting players, I think you can quite safely say you've got an attitude problem. As that kind of guy, he's not let that kind of volatile nature lead to an early retirement. Like you do see in some players, they have a very brief peak, but that's not happened with Suarez because he always gives 100% on the pitch, and that's why he's still going today. Anyhow, I'm going to move on now to his strike partner. Adam unfortunately took the hipster choice in this department, so I was left with the complete opposite of the hipster choice because this man has the highest average match rating in this whole team, which is almost 8 out of 10 per game. He's basically, without a doubt, been the best player on the planet for the last year or so, and that is Robert Lewandowski. 32 years of age, he's still absolutely flying. He's got 24 goals in 19 Bundesliga games so far this season, which makes him the highest scorer in Europe's top 5 leagues. And since the start of last season, I know that's not included in this 11, but since the start of last season, he scored 84 goals in 75 games in all competitions. So he is really putting up Messi and Ronaldo numbers in an era where Messi and Ronaldo set totally new standards in the goal-scoring realm, really. So, yeah, I think it's very obvious that Lewandowski was going to be in this 11, buying a racing away with the Bundesliga as well. And he's just a complete striker, really. He can do it all. He's got great feet for a big man. It's a really good cliche, that, but he has got great feet for a big guy. His finishing is fantastic, and to boot all this together, his confidence is just sky high because of the last 12 months or so that he's had, which just makes him even better, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not that much to say on him. He's just that good. He's so good that he has now joined this mental category of mine with Messi and Ronaldo, where when I see stats that they're involved in, I just start the list wherever, like, one place below them. So it's like when I look at the scoring charts in the Bundesliga, I start at second because it's just obvious that Lewandowski is going to be up there and so clear. Like, he's just that good. And it like you said, it's unreal he's still doing this at 32 and doesn't really show any signs of slowing down. He could be doing this, up to his Zlatan age, which would be unreal. Imagine he did this for another 5 years.
Yeah.
The kind of goal record he would have.
Yeah, he'd be racking up scary numbers. And he does score all kinds of goals, so he could have that longevity. And in 19 Bundesliga games this season, he's scored 2 or more on 6 of those 19 occasions, which is another mental stat, really. He's full of mental stats. And I think one of the most interesting things to know about Lewandowski, because, we want to bring something a little bit different. Everyone knows his goals record is mental, but I remember reading an article a few years ago where Lewandowski said that none of his coaches, when he was starting out at places like Lech Poznan in Poland, none of his coaches ever told him that he was going to go to the top. None of them really rated him this highly. No one saw this coming, which is incredible, really, when you look at him now and you think what a really obviously talented player he's become. It's kind of amazing to see that no one really saw that coming. So, yeah, credit to Lewandowski, who's had a fantastic career. And at the moment, he's showing no signs of slowing down either. So, yeah, deservedly up top here. Maybe even the crown jewel of this whole 11.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and that will wrap up our starting 11 for our mid-season team of the year. Just to rattle through that one more time, that is a goalkeeper, Jan Oblak, right back, Joao Cancelo. Our 2 center backs are Daya Upamecano, Ruben Diaz. Left back is Teo Hernandez. A midfield 4 of Ashraf Hakimi on the right, 2 central midfielders of Bruno Fernandes, Joshua Kimmich, and a left midfielder of Heung-min Son, and then a strike partnership of Luis Suarez and Robert Lewandowski. I gotta say, Charlie, I feel like Shoehorn FC might win a lot of games, but they're going to be really high scoring.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? Yeah, about a few 6-5s and a few 5-4s in that season, I reckon.
Yeah. Should we just quickly list off a few of the honorable mentions that we had? And I'll start with that. One guy I really wanted to truly shoehorn in here was Thomas Muller, who, he's got 13 goals and 10 assists this season, which is unbelievable stats. And, he's just one of those guys that he just does it from everywhere. It doesn't matter where he plays, in a front 3 or a front 4, whatever Bayern are playing. You can put him as a central striker. You can play him as a central attacking mid, and he's just so good. He just keeps scoring and keeps assisting Lewandowski. So I think he's definitely an honorable mention.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another one that deserves a mention, there's some hipster choices on this reserve list that I would have loved to have shoehorned in, but I just couldn't have done it with a clear conscience. Henrik Mkhitaryan is having a really incredible renaissance to his career at Roma. I considered him for the left wing instead of Heung-min Son. I think he's scored 9 and assisted 8 in the SerieA so far this season, which is great output, really. Considering he had a pretty lackluster spell in England, it's we all knew the class he had, but it's great to see him putting it to good use elsewhere now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been so good for Roma this season. I think he definitely could have been in, if there was 12 or 13 players in a starting 12 or 13. Then he definitely could have been in there. Let's just mention a few of the strikers, Charlie, that we had considered, because there's some unreal goal scoring going on right now. I think we won't have to go too deep into them because they're guys that most people know about, but Erling Haaland has got to be up there for consideration, and then an obvious one, Cristiano Ronaldo, who's still scoring a goal a game at the age of, 35 now, which is just unreal.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo can count himself very unlucky to not be in this 11, but I don't think he'll be crying himself to sleep this evening. I'm sure he'll get over it, because his output's been fantastic this season. Lukaku's tearing up trees in SerieA. Haaland is fantastic and my favourite player in the world. And if it wasn't for Dortmund really flopping so badly this season, I would have made a case for him to be in this 11. So yeah, tons of strikers really that you could make the case for in this one.
Absolutely. All right, we are going to wrap it up there. Before we get out of here, I just want to mention, like I did at the beginning of the video, if you have not entered for a chance to win our mystery kit giveaway, you can do so by hitting the card in the top right corner right now. That will take you to our most recent European Power Rankings video, and you can enter a chance to win an Away Days mystery kit. It's a lot of fun. You can get a mystery kit from the lower leagues of Italy, Germany, Spain, Scotland, so there's some really cool kits in there. Yeah, hop on over to that video. You can see the instructions that you need to do to enter a chance to win. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. And I believe that is it. Charlie, any last words for the people?
No, mate, that is it. That is all from us in this one. We will be back in a few days with some new and exciting content. And I look forward to seeing you and everyone then.
All right. See ya.